Guys, the Saving Grace Jungle Fever Tour is on general sale now. Get your tickets quick before they're gone.
Welcome back to another episode of Saving Grace. Your jungle babe is back. Blink and you'll miss me. I'm like a grain of rice. I've been starved for a month and I'm here to give you all of the tea. So I'm going to start from the very beginning, a very good place to start. So obviously I got the call for I'm a Celeb and I thought, do you know what? Fuck it. I've got nothing else to do. I might as well do it. And then I went into a stage of denial that I wasn't doing it. So I put it off. I was like, yeah, they'll probably cancel me. They'll probably, won't have me on, blah, blah, blah. And then it came to the week before and they told me what to pack. And it dawned on me that I was actually doing the show. I was having nightmares. I was crying. There was a lot going on. I get on the flight. Let me tell you about my chaperone, Peter. Peter, he's not even just a chaperone. He's actually really high up at ITV. But I love that man till the day I die. So we get on the plane. We get to Australia and I get my phone taken off me, right? Which was very hard for me because how am I meant to text my wife? How am I meant to know what's going on in the world? Someone could die. I wouldn't know. So I get my phone taken off me and I stay at this hotel which has a balcony looking over the Gold Coast. I thought, come on. So me and Peter, every night, we'd go out for dinner, we'd sit on my balcony, we'd look over Australia, I'd get pissed he wasn't allowed. Anyway, at this point, obviously I had no phone for about 5 days and I'm thinking, I need to sort this shit out. So I say to Peter, Peter, I need a blow dry. The humidity in Australia is no fucking joke. So he takes me to a hairdresser's. We then film the first episode, which took so long. It took so long. That first episode that you see, it felt like I was Tom Cruise doing a movie. It felt like it took a year. There was a lot going on. I put my hand in cockroaches. I didn't know I had a fear of cockroaches, by the way. Turns out I do, which was really good. And then we go into said jungle. One thing I will say is the jungle is a lot smaller in person. It's giving claustrophobic, Darren. It's so small. You're basically on top of each other. I took a hammock because I'm a legend. No one else wanted the hammock and it was incredible. I would sway myself to sleep every night. Sensational. The dunny is so much work because when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, they probably don't actually make us shit in a hole. Do you know what I mean? Like it's probably like a portaloo round the side. No, you're in this tiny little thing, hole in the ground. When you pee, you can hear it landing on other people's shit, which is so humbling, actually. And then there's like huntsman spiders just on the wall watching you. What else? The shower is no joke. It is a dribble of water, -5 degrees. It's the worst thing I've ever been in my life. I didn't shower for about 3 days at one point because I just couldn't do it. The weather was insane. It was like a typhoon. There was so much rain, and it was cold there as well. I don't know if you could grasp that on the telly. It was freezing cold. One day our camp flooded. So we were all sleeping in wet. You have a little canopy over you to try and protect you from the rain, but the rain was coming through it. So we had wet sleeping bags. I mean, it was giving, tough times. Yeah, I had to get to learn the names of the animals. I'd never heard of a huntsman in my entire fucking life. I thought that was something out of Game of Thrones. So I was very, very confused the entire time. The reason my skin has cleared up so much was probably not wearing any makeup, but I was allowed my skincare, which was Obagi, in there because it's medical. So you've got a little medical hut behind the jungle. I mean, it's still in the jungle, but like behind our camp. And you go in there every night and I did my skincare. So thank you, Obagi, for clearing up my skin. Anyway, let's talk about camp life. So the starvation is no joke at all. Like, it's actually no joke. For breakfast, you have like 1 spoonful of rice, 1 spoonful of beans. Lunch, 1 spoonful of rice, 1 spoonful of beans. Dinner, 2 spoonfuls of rice, 2 spoonfuls of beans, and maybe some meat. I'm going to say it now. I ate possum arse. There were tails, there were eels, mud crabs that looked fucking vile, some sort of bug, sea bug or whatever. That was disgusting actually as well. I ate a lot of things that I never want to eat again. I'll give you like how your days go. So you get woken up, and we sort of decided it was around 5:30 in the morning that we would get woken up by the voice of God. Just go and wake up, and you'd be like, cool. You'd wake up, you go brush your teeth, have a shower, whatever, put the rice and beans on. Then you'd hear Ant and Dec shouting, "I'm a celebrity, get me out of here." And you'd know, okay, that's 7 a.m. So we got to 7 a.m, blah, blah. And then 8 a.m, they'd come in the camp and they'd tell you either whether you're doing a trial or you're getting voted off. By that point, you then have to wait for the person doing the trial to go, which is about like an hour and a bit. You're waiting for quite a while. I mean, to be fair, it could have been 15 minutes. I don't even know what the time was, but it felt like an hour. And then, because there was nothing else to do, you'd sleep for about 5 hours. Then you'd be told you should probably put some lunch on. They're coming back. So you'd put some more rice and beans on. They'd come back, and then you'd eat your lunch, and the next person would go for a dingo dollar, whatever it is. And then they'd be gone for another 4 hours. So we'd just sleep again until dinner. And then I reckon we were eating dinner at around 8:30, 9 p.m. And we'd all go to bed at around 1 a.m. So we weren't really getting much sleep. And also, here's an inside scoop. If it was thundering lightning, which, by the way, was the whole fucking time I was in there, it was deemed unsafe. So at some points, we'd all, as a collective group, get called into the bush telegraph, and we'd have to stay in there until the lightning had gone, like the storm had gone. So each night, you're like, some nights you were just getting woken up 1 or 2 times to go and sit in the bush telegraph, and then you're up at 5:30. So it's a miracle that we didn't all beat each other up, to be honest with you, because the lack of sleep and the hunger is no joke. The boredom is no joke. It's like the first couple of days was like, oh my God, we're in the I'm A Celeb jungle. And it was so weird looking around at all of us in like the jungle gear, like, oh my God, we're in I'm A Celeb. Then it wears off. Yeah, it's like, cool, we're in a fucking jungle. A day feels like a month. It got to a point where I was seeing how much wax I could put on a leaf before the leaf broke. That was the level that I was at. A lot of things that maybe weren't shown. There was a lot of kumbayaing around the fire, not involving me, obviously. A lot of people loved to sing in there. I mean, I can't sing, so I was sort of exempt from that. Maybe we should talk about my first trial. So my first trial was like Volcano something. It was something to do with Volcano. So you don't see any of the other trials. You get a towel put over your head, and you get put in a blacked out teepee. Teepee? That's a tent. A blacked out troopy. And you get driven to the trial area, and then you go straight in, right? So I was like, okay, it's anxiety producing. The crew aren't allowed to speak to you there. I think it's maybe to build up nerves. So you walk in, Ant and Dec are there. I was like, hey, I couldn't believe it. They're real humans. It's incredible. And then they basically tell you what the trial is, and then you get a rule read by the producers or whoever, and they go, the insects in there can bite, sting, and hurt you. Are you okay with that? And obviously you have to say yes. I wasn't okay with that. That's fine. And then I get lowered down into this claustrophobic fucking underground set of tunnels. A lot of things happened in there. I didn't realise I actually had a fear of snakes. Before I went in, as you probably saw for my Wembley promo pic, I was holding a snake. And I was like actually fine with it. You know, when I was holding it, I was like, oh, this is okay. When they are not in your hands and they are crawling about everywhere, they are the scary, because they go up and they do that thing at you. And I thought, well, you've just told me in the rule read that they can sting and bite. So now I'm on edge. Walk into a room full of snakes, nasty little creatures. I actually like rats. So that for me was incredible. They were nibbling at my ankles, which wasn't very fun. But yeah, the spiders for me were the worst part. They are one of the worst things I've ever seen. And they're so much bigger. Like I was watching it back and I thought, these don't look as big as they did in person. Okay. They are fucking huge and they're really fast and they move a lot. When I came out, I saw that I had a huntsman on my head. Thank God. Thank God I didn't see that when I was in it, because I best believe would have said, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I'm a Z-lister, get me out of here. I wouldn't go as far as celebrity. It was a lot. It was a lot. And what you didn't see was when I had that part of the challenge where all the water came through, I actually clung on to that bit of rope. It didn't wash me down. I clung onto that rope because I was so fucking scared about what was going to be thrown on me. I was like hysterically crying and they were like, let go of the rope. I was like, no. I let go of the rope because obviously I had about 9 minutes left. So yeah, crocodiles in there, couldn't see that star. That challenge for me was hell, but I think I was on adrenaline because it was in the first 2 days. So I was like, cool, I can do this. Get 9 stars. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Had a great time. Also, what they didn't show is the night that I got 9 stars, we got given this amazing meal, but it started thunder and lightning and we all had to go into the Bush Telegraph. The whole camp got flooded. We'd put the crocodile on and by the time we were allowed out of the Bush Telegraph, all of the stuff had burnt. So we weren't allowed to eat it. So we had to eat Alan's tofu. Imagine winning 9 stars and eating tofu as a congratulations. I thought, this isn't right. But anyway, that was that. Glad I did it. Then I got put in the challenge with Dean. This challenge was sent from, I think it was called Drown in the Dumps, was sent from hell. No joke, sent from hell. I have a thing about water. Like I can swim, but the tank that I was in was really claustrophobic. When I had to go down to get the padlocks, I was having to like scrunch my body up and go down because it was so small in there. And what they don't show as well is the water's coming in so fast and heavy. I couldn't breathe because there was nowhere to breathe. The water was freezing, and on that day it was raining and freezing as well. So I was double freezing, double homicide. It was a lot. Pouring in for ages. And by the time the water stops, I'm like, right, okay. I put my goggles on to go down. And also, by the way, it was so dramatic. I was banging on the glass to Ant and Dec, like, I can't breathe. And they were just looking at me like, please get on with it. I didn't realise there was stuff in there already with me. So I was like, right, I couldn't see. The water was really groggy. So by the time that I'm going down and getting padlocks, I still think there's nothing in there with me until a water snake wraps itself around my ladder that I'm holding onto. And I go to put my foot on the ladder and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? And it was a snake. And I felt it, an eel or the snake go past my leg. And I just thought, this is awful. Like I start having a panic attack. I'm going to Dean going, let's say the words. And he's going, don't fucking say the words. I was thinking I would like to. But Dean stopped me from saying it. There was one point, I don't even know if it went in the edit, but it was like a gate. So it had little holes in. So where he was standing versus I could look up and he was there. And all we could fit was one finger each through. And we just held each other's fingers. And were like giving each other like motivational speeches. So thank God Dean was there. And then obviously we got 0 stars for that. But I fucking hate water snakes. Water snakes and water spiders, I feel like, what's the need? There's already them on land. Did you really need that in there? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so that was my trial. And then I didn't have any for a while because Dean was doing all of them. Thank God. But one thing I will say is I found it overwhelming in the first week to live with such big personalities because I wasn't used to, like, I actually don't really have a lot of like loudness in my life. When I'm at home, I'm quite quiet. I like being by myself. So for the first week, I really struggled with constantly being around people and just, I don't know, constantly feeling like, oh my God, I'm being watched. And then second week, I had a mental break. I was like, I can't stay because this week has felt like a year and I've got another 2 left. Like, I was just like, I can't do it. But I then started having a really good time, specifically when the Reverend came in. When the Rev came in, I thought, I'm going to have nothing in common with this man. What the fuck are we going to speak about? And we spoke about so much. Like the first time we sat down, was when I was sort of talking about, like, I can't believe you're religious and gay. Like, for me, that's unheard of. He was just telling me about his life. And then we just got on so well. That man is the funniest man I have ever met. He collects pots. Maura was hilarious. Dean was hilarious. Every day, Colleen would plait my hair. I'd go to Colleen's salon. She'd plait my hair. And I'd spend most of my day with, like, Dean, the Reverend, Jane. And also, another thing I want to clear up, I feel like people are being really harsh on Jane. Jane was so lovely to me in there. She was like my jungle mother. And I feel like she got a load of shit online. But one thing about Jane is she will ask the questions everyone else is too scared to ask. Best believe, when we were in a group setting, she was fucking asking those questions. Another thing about the washing up, I want to tell you that job is fucking long, right? You have to walk down to the creek. There was storms going on. It was freezing cold. You have to wash so much stuff in the freezing cold. You then have to lug it back up, dry it, put it away. And that's the point where you've done it like 3 times in a day, but everyone else is going to bed by the time you're washing up. So then you're going to bed really late. Then you have to wake up and do it all again. Like, I do understand why she was complaining. And also, it was an ongoing joke. We were like, Jane hates washing up. There wasn't any beef. No one didn't get on. Yeah, there was a few like bickers, but when you're fucking starved out your brains and tired, there is going to be moments where you get annoyed. But yeah, everyone was really civil. And this is the first year that I think if you came back with no stars after a trial, no one was asked. No one was bothered. Like when me and Dean came back with no stars, everyone was like, cool, we'll just maybe fry the beans. Actually, let me go on to this. I got mugged off because my pan kept setting on fire. I want to say this is no reflection on me. The reason the pan kept setting on fire is because there was loads of oil in it, and sometimes I'd forget to drain the beans properly and there was a little bit of water that came in. Okay? That's the reason that the pan set on fire. A lot. I want to say that I was a good cook. People really enjoyed my food, kind of, for what we had. And yeah, I feel like I got taken the piss out of that. But I can cook. What's some other bits that you wouldn't know? You can smoke if you're in the jungle, but you have to go one at a time and you have to stand with a security guard in the middle of a jungle and smoke. So it's not really the same vibe as, outside freedom on a Saturday night. It is just sort of kind of depressing and you feel like you're killing the planet. It feels morally wrong to smoke in a jungle. But you get really close with the security guards. They are absolutely lovely. Shout out to Michael and Matt. They're not going to be watching this, but they were my favourite security guards. Hope you're well. Also, my other job was wood collector. So you have to go all the way down to the wood drop, which is so far. You have to cross a lake. Okay? You have to cross a lake with your boots. Waterproof though, so it's all right. Get the wood. So I would fill this sack up with like 8 bits of wood, shove it over. I look like Robin Hood, with his little stick. I don't even know if that was Robin Hood. Maybe it was Winnie the Pooh. But anyway, with the stick in the bag, shove it over and I'm climbing back uphill to the camp. I got so fit. I think that's why I lost so much weight. I looked like Jessica Ennis when I came out the jungle, an Olympian. And I did that with Alan. Alan was my favourite. Also, I feel like Alan didn't get shown his true personality. Alan was one of the funniest people I have ever met in my entire life. He is hilarious. And he would just, him and Rev, I could speak about anything, like the dirtiest stuff too. And they would just take it. And that's why I respect them. Also, when my mum came into the jungle, we were genuinely clueless. So 4 of them, so Oti, Rev, Alan and Danny, it was like, right, you guys are going on a trial. So we were like, bye, or a challenge. It was like a dingo dollar challenge. So we said goodbye to them and it was just me and Colleen left in the camp. And we were like, this is a bit weird. And then we both got called up to the Bush Telegraphs. And they were like, right, we want you to just have a chat with Colleen really, but can you do it at the creek? And I started arguing. I was like, I'm not fucking going down to the creek. Do you know how long that is? I can't be arsed. I'm so hungry. I'm so tired. I'm not fucking going down to the creek. And they were like, yeah, you're going down. So I was like, all right, fine. So I thought Colleen was down there waiting for me. I struck myself down. My mum is on a fucking log in the middle of a jungle in white jeans, may I add. Who wears white jeans into a jungle? But it was so lovely to see her. Genuinely, we were all so shocked. Like, none of us at all thought that that was happening, because we thought last year it happened in the final four. So we were all like, oh my God, it's going to happen tomorrow. Like, whoever's still in, it's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But no, it happened then. And it was really nice. Pointless, because I did get voted out the next morning. But it was nice to see me mum. And when you get voted out and you go across this massive bridge that you haven't been before. And oh my God, I didn't talk about Fright Bus. Fright Bus was hell. That's all I'm going to say. And when I got out, I was like, I wonder if anyone's clipped any videos of me. All I saw was me screaming, where is it? And then flinging my head back, screaming. And then we did that final challenge where I was in, like, my head was in a globe. And which, by the way, is so claustrophobic. So you're sat like this in a little box. You can't really move your legs. You're on a chair. And they the front's there. And then they come in and screw with a screwdriver, like an electric screwdriver, your head into this thing. Like, you can hear all the wood blocks being screwed on, and you're literally like this. And they're like, yeah, if you shout, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, just hold on, because we are going to have to unscrew you out of it. And I thought, sorry? So I thought, that's not an option for me. I'm just going to have to do it. Anyway, I closed my eyes. You had to tap the buttons 2,000 times to get 2 stars. Barry couldn't see again. So he struggled with that. But we all managed to get, I think it was like 2, 4, 7 stars altogether out of 8, which I think was a fucking bargain. Anyway, so I get voted out. And Alan goes across the bridge first, and I'm just stood there for 10 minutes. I'm scared of heights, so this was not ideal for me. And then you get taken across, and I cannot explain to you the feeling of seeing like 30 crew after living with, at that point, 6 people for quite a few days. It's really overwhelming. I do my exit interview. Ella's waiting across the bridge. Didn't know she was going to be waiting there. Didn't know if she'd even flown over. Didn't know if she was allowed. And then you get taken in a car back to the tent where all the families watch. But they'd all gone at this point because they've got to clap me in, which is such an ick, by the way, but I have to clap you in. I signed loads of merch and stuff. I signed some of my vest tops. I think they do like giveaways or whatever with them. And then I get given the canteen breakfast. All I'd been thinking about was some hash browns and a bacon and egg roll. I got a bean fritter, beans, which is salt in the wound, and some fatty bacon. I said, this is a sick joke. Anyway, get in the car. My dad comes and surprises me as well in the car. And I'm like, oh my God, he got a top saying GK of the jungle with my face on it. Really cute. And then we get back to the Marriott Hotel. Everyone's clapping you in. I see everyone for the first time. And it's really weird because you've heard about everyone's families and then you see them. And I was going up to people like, I've heard you're moving house. How's that going? Like, I heard your family member, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, how the fuck do you know all this about me? And I was like, sorry, like, I've really filled in. Because in there, it was in like the first 2 days, we were just talking about our whole lives. Because you're just like, well, there's nothing else to do, so I might as well just unload my trauma onto you. There was a lot of that. A lot of crying. A bit weird. And yeah, it was just weird. And then you come out, and what I didn't realise was all of the families had got so close. While we were in there suffering, they were sat by the pool, playing cards, going out for dinner together. I came out, and Alan's best friend and my dad the night before had gone on a bar crawl with everyone else, gone on a slingshot ride, and my dad had passed out in a tattoo parlour. And my girlfriend had to go and get him. And I thought, I can't believe you lot have used this as a free holiday. Anyway, so yeah, come out. And what happens as soon as you come out, you go into your hotel room. Danny's mum gave me a blow dry. I had an hour to get ready and then I was straight into press. So I did the Mirror interview with them. I did press shots by the pool. Everyone by the pool was like, who the fuck is this taking pictures? It was giving Centre Parks. But anyway, doing all the pics. And then you go straight back in to your hotel room. And what else happened? And then I was just really overwhelmed. I started crying because it felt a bit too much. I still hadn't turned my phone on. And then all the families want to meet you, which is like, I want to meet them. But I was like, I haven't been around people for so long. And I feel really uncomfortable. Then you have your psych again. You have your medical again. And then you're finally left alone. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to go out for dinner with my parents. No one tells you your taste buds are fucked. So and also the medic said to me, do not eat anything rich, pasta, anything, because you'll vomit, because your stomach shrunk so much. All I've wanted is a creamy carbonara. So I go in and I have like I think I had a salad. I had a salad and a Bloody Mary and then just go to bed. There was a lot going on. Then I wake up the next day and I feel good. I don't even remember what I did the next day. I think I did some more filming. Like when you're out, you're just, for the coming out show and whatever, you're filming a lot. We all had a meal together, like everyone. And we did one of those ones where they were throwing meat in your mouth. Felt very straight. There was a lot going on there. And then, we clapped OT and all that out. And then the final, we all go up to go watch. I thought Colleen was going to win. I was like, it's definitely Colleen. I wanted Reverend. I wanted Rev so bad. But Rev came third. Danny won and he was very deserving. Danny was very, very helpful in there. He was lovely. I sang, obviously, to him. I think I've ruined that song for him, which is fine. I didn't tell you. So on the night before I get evicted, they won a glass of wine and a beer for us, yeah. Obviously, we haven't drunk. Like, we went to the Jungle Arms, but it's about 3 sips of Prosecco. All right. And I'm pretty sure it was non-alcoholic because usually I get a tingly feeling in my legs. I was numb. So we all get a glass of wine. I went up to medical. I fell over on my way to medical. And I've been to medical twice a day, every day for 3 weeks. But on that occasion, I was off my tits. Behind the scenes things that you might not know. There was a snake in camp. There was rats constantly. The tiny bridge we have to walk over one at a time. OT was walking over it at one point. She put her hand on the railings and there was a snake on there. She ran across the bridge and security had to come get it taken off. I think that's a yabby confronted me. How has your perspective on life or your career? Do you know what's really funny? When I was in there, oh my God, there's a really cringy thing. They aired my speech where I was like hysterically crying. And we all had to do a speech, right? And I was like second to last. And I could feel that if I open my mouth, I'm going to hysterically cry. So I didn't even listen to anyone else's speech. I was just trying to be like, come on, Grace, get your shit together. Like, you live near Croydon. You've got this, right? I stand up and I just start hysterically bawling. But do you know what? When you're in there, it does feel good. And I'd like to say, I'm doing a podcast right now with no makeup on. So maybe I've changed. I do feel a little bit more self-confident because people truly have seen me at my worst. And when I say worst, I mean clapped with yellow hair, screaming and hysterically crying on national television. So I feel like it can't get any worse than that. Touch wood. There's no word. Oh no, that's word. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I just feel more confident. And I've met Ant and Dec. So a win's a win. And also I love my girlfriend so much. Never again. The first thing I said to her when I got off the bridge, I was like, we're going to have 3 kids, all names that start with R, and we're going to get married. And she was like, missed you too. So yeah, that's my perspective. Did your time in the jungle influence your approach to dealing with internet trolls? To be fair, Jane had a massive go at me. She was like, stop fucking reading hate about yourself. And I've decided I will no longer look on Tattle. So if you're on Tattle, you can fuck yourself. I'm no longer going to look on that. Has your experience on the show impacted your relationship with Ella in any way? This was hell. I feel like before I went, me and Ella were like, how are we going to do this? Because me and Ella don't leave each other's side ever. If we're not together, we're texting. if we're not texting, we're spooning. Like we do not leave each other. And I remember when I got my phone taken off of me, I was like, this is awful. And from what I've heard from Ella's family, she was just like crying hysterically. It was like, and then there were actually that you only saw 2 seconds of it, but I started like crying. I was crying every day, but I cried one day for like the whole day in the jungle. And I was just like, I can't deal with not knowing what everyone's doing on the outside. And then I felt bad because I was like, Ella's going to see me crying and then it's going to make her upset. So then I cried more. But seeing her was so nice. Feel like that saying, distance makes the art grow fonder, is definitely true. I really missed her. I will be with her at all times. She's coming today. I'm currently at Wembley, I forgot to say. Yeah, just love her. Camp dynamic. Which campmate surprised you the most? I would say Reverend surprised me the most. Did not expect to get on with Reverend, and he was literally my best friend. Were there any behind the scenes moments that didn't make it to air but stood out to you? I haven't watched it back, only my trials, so I haven't seen really what has been shown, but I think maybe a lot of our conversations that were just so interesting. Like Colleen Rooney is so interesting. She's one of the most interesting women I've ever spoken to in my life. Dean is fucking hilarious. I don't know if they showed how funny Dean was. Like, Dean was telling a story about when he did ayahuasca, and it was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, there were lots of moments like that. A lot of moments of Alan just being fucking hilarious. Me and Alan and Danny were always doing puns. Always. And it would get to a point where when Maura first came in, she was like, I can't deal with this. That girl was the funniest person I've ever met in my life. She is lovely. Sorry, father. She's hilarious. She's very Irish. When her, Dean and Barry would speak, I didn't have a fucking clue what they were talking about. It was like, and I was like, what? And Barry was lovely. I thought he'd be a bit more aggressive because he is a boxer, but he is the sweetest man. And you know what? He wouldn't let me do a thing. What a man. Like, I would be, when I was cooking, I'd be lifting the pan up and he would literally be like, don't ever do that again. And he would lift it for me. If I needed to fill the pot up with water, he'd take it off me and go fill it up. Like, he is a proper man. Who was the funniest in camp and what made them so entertaining? Minus me. Come on, we do have fun. I would say Alan. Alan was the funniest. Do you feel like there were cliques forming or was the group generally cohesive? It was actually really sweet. I've never been in a situation where and also before I went in, I was practicing arguing. Like Ella's nan showed me, she went, if anyone's ever rude to you or says a nasty comment, you look at them and then you go, what the fuck do you mean by that? That's how you have it. Was there a moment where you felt like you really stepped up as a leader or a problem solver in camp? No. To be honest, I was so fucking useless. Although when I was camp chef, and I know they didn't show this, everyone really enjoyed my meals and I felt like I was really good with the wood. I'd go down by myself and get loads of wood and everyone was always really impressed because they tried to help me and I was like, fuck off, I'm going to do it myself. And then I took over doing everyone's lunch and breakfast on my own. I did it on my own every day and I knew what time to do it so everyone was fed. So maybe. Were there any tensions or arguments that were particularly hard to deal with? After that had happened at the creek, I mean, no one mentioned it. So, like, none of us had a clue. There wasn't any argument. Was there any arguments that weren't aired, maybe? No. When I tell you no one argued, the closest thing to an argument was when I told Oti to stop fucking singing. I said, Oti, please give me a break. I can't deal with this anymore. But that was it. Was there a specific trial you were proud of completing and why? The fishbowl one at the arcade, that was like, I cannot believe I had a spider trying to get into my mouth and I didn't say, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Can't believe I did that. So yeah, I was really happy. And I was genuinely terrified. I don't think people understand the actual fear that you have beforehand. Like the fear before a trial is like I thought I was going to be sick. Like it's awful. Like, and you don't know what you're coming face to face with until you're in there. And cockroaches smell so fucking bad. No one understands. Cockroaches smell so bad. I said to Anna Deck, I said, what do you think this smells like? And they were like, death. Like it smells like actual like rigor mortis. That's what they smell like. fucking nasty little things. And these little mealworms, you'll shower, wash your hair, you've showered everywhere, and a mealworm will still come out of somewhere, and you're like, what? Fish guts, awful. Fish guts, horror, horror, horror. Never again. How do you feel about the campmates who volunteered for most of the trials versus who avoided them? Here's a bit of tea for you, right? Everyone was like, why didn't you volunteer for some of these things? So we wanted to make it all fair. So the people who hadn't been voted for trials all were then in line to do trials when it was down to us. We were like, we're going to let everyone have a go. When everyone had then had a go, me and Alan were like, we're going to do the next trial. Alan's a vegetarian and I have a phobia of sick, right? So we were like, we're going to do the trial. And we got put in Bush Telegraph and they were like, yeah, it's an eating trial, so you guys can't do this one. And we were like, right, okay. So we went back to camp and we were like, look, we can't do this one, which is why I think Colleen and Rev did it, but they didn't air that. So it just made it look like I didn't volunteer, but I did volunteer. I just didn't have a chance to do it, okay? So leave me alone. I did volunteer, although I didn't really want to, but I knew it would make me look like a pussy. If you could have swapped one trial with another campmate, which would it have been and why? I mean, they all sounded fucking hell. I feel like the one that Dean and Danny did was quite fun. Like, when they were going into all the shops, I think that would have been quite funny. I preferred trials with someone else because it takes the anxiety away and you can laugh. When you're doing trials on your own, I don't like that because there's no one to help you apart from Ant and Deck, but they just take the piss out of you the whole time. So, did you discover anything new about yourself while in the jungle? It was insane. So yeah, jungle puss is no joke. I would wash my armpits in the sink in the mornings, if it was really cold, but yeah, poor Ella. I'm taking probiotics now I'm home to try and level out the pH because I don't know if I'm still back to my usual self, but yeah. What coping mechanisms did you develop to handle hunger or discomfort? The water. So basically I just drank loads of water, but you have to get the water from the creek, boil it, and then put it in a sack. And also coping mechanisms in general, I learned to be patient. So I just had to learn to breathe. And I feel like I've come out a more patient person, guys, honestly, because that was a lot. Living with 12 people was a lot, 24 hours a day. I mean, I loved everyone, but you didn't have your own time. The only time I had my own, I've said own time too much, but I'm going to say it again. The only time I had my own time was when I was in the dunny. And you didn't want to spend too long in there because there was going to be a huntsman crawl up your ass. So, yeah, it was a lot. Although you were allowed to go into the Bush Telegraph and say, can you just give me 5 minutes? And they would sit you in silence for 5 minutes in there if you needed it. How did the lack of social media and technology impact your mindset? I didn't miss my phone at all, actually, weirdly enough. And when I went back on it, my eyes went weird. I couldn't look at my phone screen. To be honest, the reaction since I've come out has been fucking incredible. I did not expect it at all. What was the meal or snack you missed the most while in camp? It was linguine, carbonara, anything pasta based. But it got to a point where even foods I don't like, I wanted. Like a cup of tea. Like every morning we'd be like, who wants a brew? And it was just hot water. And it was one of the most depressing things ever. Like I just missed a cup of tea in the morning. A poached egg. Scrambled egg. I fucking hate scrambled egg. But if you gave me scrambled egg in there, I would have fucked that up. Were you happy with your luxury item? So I didn't know who sent it. I got a dressing gown, which I had no clue I was going to get. But it was the best thing ever because I was so cold in there. I was shivering all the time. So when I got my dressing gown, I was like, ow. But it felt weird wearing a dressing gown in a jungle. Like everyone was like, this looks so wrong. And it felt wrong. I was in like a fluffy thing full of dirt. But yeah, it was incredible. If you could have smuggled one thing into camp, what would it have been? Salt and pepper. Melvin did smuggle salt and pepper in. But Talisa gave it in because when Dean smuggled in a tea bag in his sock, they were like, if there's any other contraband in this camp, you need to give it over now. Otherwise you're going to lose stars. So we all shat ourselves and gave it in. But that tea was so good. Fucking hell. Which camp meal actually tasted better than you expected? Do you know what? The rice and beans, right? Alan couldn't eat these beans because he was like, it's physically I'll vomit. So he was like, why don't we mash the rice and beans together and fry it. And we made little rice and bean patties and they fucking slapped. I wouldn't eat it here, but in there, that was incredible. And do you know what else tasted really good? The mud crab. Just tasted like crab. I was like, no, getting wine and dined. I really enjoyed it. Mud crab was nice. How did you feel about your elimination? I really wanted to stay till the cyclone, but I was really happy actually to get voted out then, because it then meant I got 2 days with my family and Ella. So that was actually really, really nice. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know how well I was doing in there, and I didn't know how long. Like, I honestly thought I was going to be first out. I thought Dean was going to win and I was going to be first out. So I had no clue what to do. Did you ever feel pressure to perform for the cameras? The first 2 days, I feel like I was just really trying to make people laugh, really trying to be extra. And then I just thought, fuck this is exhausting. So I just became myself, which was actually nice. Which campmate gave you the best advice or words of encouragement? It was always Jane. Jane was really good at advice. And then she got voted off. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to fend for myself now. Was there a campmate who inspired you with their attitude or resilience? No. I think good for you that you lot are doing so well at certain trials or whatever. It just couldn't be me. You know, actually, that is a complete lie. Talisa has the best words of advice and encouragement. She just is the epitome of a walking and talking mindfulness book. And if something would happen, she'd just go, it is what it is. And I thought, you're right. I think that's what I struggled with the most in there, not knowing a schedule and what was happening and what I couldn't control anything. She was just like, look, it is what it is and it will be what will be. And I thought, I know that's so simple, but it's true. So yeah, it is what it is. What was the most heartwarming moment you witnessed in camp? It would have been the day before mine and Alan's vote off, and we were all sat round camp with our glass of wine. Come up. And we were all just saying like how amazing the experience had been and how happy we were that we were all with each other. And it was just really nice. And it sort of did feel like a little family. A dysfunctional family, but a really nice family. And I'm going to watch Corrie now that I'm home because I love Alan. How did it feel being part of such an iconic show, such a huge... Do you know what? Before I went in there, I was just like, oh, I'll probably not get put on, blah, blah. But I cannot explain to you the feeling of waking up in the jungle and seeing everyone with their names and the iconic outfit on and just looking around and being like, I am on I'm a Celebrity. Even up to my last day, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, this is so fucking weird. And seeing clips of me online, I was like, I don't know. It was just so weird, so iconic. I'm glad I'll never have to do it again, but I'm kind of sad I'll never do it again because I feel like it was just really fun. Terrifying, but fun. Have any past jungle contestants reach out? So before I went in, I called Sam Thompson. I said, Sam, I'm so scared. And he just said to me, he gave me loads of advice. He said, look, the first 3 days are going to be amazing. Then you're going to take a massive dip and then you'll be back up. And he just told me what to expect. He said the boredom's going to be crazy. Meal times are the best time of the day. All of that. So I felt prepared when I went in. And yeah, he was right. And I don't think I spoke to anyone else because I was under such a strict NDA that I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. I remember I was on Loose Women like a week before with Scarlett Moffat. And I was just like, I want to speak to you so badly about what is going on, but I just couldn't. So yeah, but I'm glad I went in with an open mind and that's all you can do. If I was to give advice for a future contestant, I would say, think about your luxury item. Take a blow-up chair or something, Crocs, because I got athlete's foot. Everyone got athlete's foot. It's actually a bit of an ick. yeah, like take something useful in, because sitting on the log, we all had back problems by the end. Like we all had the most incredible back pain. Pick a hammock, because I loved a hammock. It was like, imagine having the sound of a waterfall next to you and swinging. What a day. And any other bits of advice? I ate like I was on death row, and I feel like that really worked out for me. So just eat as much as you can before you go in. Think of some games you can play, because I wish I did that. Maybe bring in some Uno cards as your luxury item. That's all I've got for you. I hope this has answered all your questions. It's so good to be back. Thank you so much for voting to keep me in and being so supportive since coming out, even before coming out. You guys have been real ones. But yeah, I'm very glad to be home, and I'm going to do my Wembley show now. So shove that up your ass. And don't forget, you can also watch my Wembley show on YouTube and SGTV on Christmas Eve, or treat yourself on Christmas Day. And of course, while I was suffering in the jungle, they've only gone and announced another tour. So September next year, I'm back on tour. You can buy tickets now. Extra dates are going to be added. Be there or be square. I might even bring out a snake, do a Britney Spears. Come on, see you there.